everyone, my name is Amanda Ellis and I am going to be channeling the energy of John Lennon today. I'll put today's date on it as well. It's the 12th of August 2019 and I'm actually sitting here completely and utterly blown away with the piece of information he's just given to me. And I'm really blown away. So I'm going to, before I do anything, I'm going to pull in some very strong protection around myself, around my channel, around my work, and around you that are watching this, because this is really important words that are about to come through. Just need to ground myself actually. Okay, I tried to do this video yesterday and I understand now why it wasn't the right day to do it. I hadn't got all the pieces of information. John hadn't given me all the signs that he has just given me. So let's just set this energy properly. The first thing I'm going to do is light a candle. White candle. This is actually a candle that I've had made for me, which holds the energy of Archangel Metatron. It's got the Metatron's cube on it. So we have the energy of Metatron here. I'm calling you in, Metatron, as my guide. I know you're here. I know you're asking me to do this work. I call in all the protection around me and those that watch me and this channel. I call in the energy of Archangel Zadkiel and the violet flame. And I also bring in the silver ray. This is our silver protection spray, and I'm going to put that around myself as well, and around you, and around this body and this piece of work. Funny that I just said the word body. So let's just dive straight in. This isn't going to be my usual way of doing it. I built the rainbow bridge for John yesterday. He walked across it to be in my energy, and I'll just tell you what I saw. He will present himself maybe in a different way today, but I just want to bring you up to date with where we are. He came in barefoot, wearing white, with a loose brown belt around his waist. His hair looked like that. Okay, so long hair, the glasses. This is how many of us maybe remember him. That's how he presented himself to me. And his energy was, I know he's spirit, so maybe it's a funny thing to say ethereal, but that's the word that I used. Very ethereal, very bright, light body, and just this dazzling white light. He feels very different from the other members of what I'm calling the Heart Squad, which is a body of work that I'm doing at the moment. You can look back at my channel, you can see why I'm doing this work, and you can see who the other members are of the Heart Squad. John is coming in as the newest member, and absolutely he's going to be part of the core team. I can feel that. But yeah, he feels very different. He hasn't been around me as much in terms of personal connection. Some of the other members come in and are very involved with trying to help us heal our personal issues. So for example, with Michael Jackson, it was inner child and is inner child healing. With Freddie Mercury, it's linked into trying to bring out the playful aspects of ourself, our sexuality, etc. They all have different roles. But with John, he's working so much at the collective level. I'm not saying that he isn't also wanting to help us heal our personal things, but it's a much more collective energy with him. Okay, so I'm just going to spray the Rainbow Bridge spray and connect into his spirit, and then I'm going to tell you what's just not thrown me, but blown me away a little bit. So let's just bring you in, John, consciously to greet everybody that's here for you today. And it's like he's coming onto the stage is what it feels like, because he lived his whole life on the stage. And he's still wearing the white, And it's like he's coming in and he's doing that. So it's like he's bowing with the energy of Namaste. Namaste, in case you don't know, is the divine in me sees the divine in you. And what I'm seeing is he literally, it's as though Metatron has created a stage for him here. He's in the spotlight. He's sitting on like a black bar stool. It looks like a black bar stool with chrome and black. The spotlight on him. Metatron is to the right hand side and is giving him the microphone to speak, albeit through me, but that's how I'm seeing him. And I am sitting to the left hand side of him as well. So and then in front of him is just a huge, it's not an auditorium, it's not inside, he's actually speaking to us outside. It's as though it's important that the elements are around. So I'm seeing us, literally, wherever you're sitting, you might be sitting in your lounge, your bedroom, wherever, but it's as though at a different dimensional level, we're all actually about to experience what comes through on a different plane of understanding, is what he's saying, a different dimensional place. And we are outside, it feels almost quite Woodstocky, it's that type of energy. But he's saying, but you know, we're not drugged up. He's saying we're very alert. We're ready to really hear this now with no filters. So what has thrown me is that because I wasn't feeling him so much around me personally, and by that I mean he wasn't with me when I was, you know, putting on my makeup this morning, which some of the others have been. You know, Freddie's been there advising me on my wardrobe, all this type of stuff. Even Elvis, even though Elvis wasn't around me as I put on my makeup, I knew he was sort of had left the room for me to be private. John was like, where are you? It's like, where are you? So I just got in my car to go out somewhere. And I said to John, I said, okay, today's the day we need to do this channeling. I said, where are you? Give me 3 signs. I said, I know that you're here. I know that I can do this without the signs, but it'd be quite nice to have some signs, John. At that moment, I've got my radio on and I suddenly realise there's a traffic report that's come on the radio. And the traffic report is reporting I guess a traffic jam in Julian Road. Okay, I don't even know where Julian Road is in my hometown, but apparently we've got a Julian Road nearby. And Julian, of course, was the name of one of his sons. The fact that there is a roadblock in Julian Road is John's way of saying to me, I know that there is stuff that I need to heal with regard to this relationship that has felt blocked for whatever reason. So that was the first nod. The second, there were 4 actually. The second one was on Radio 2 in the morning. They have this, like, it's called Pop Master. It's a quiz show where people ring in and they run through a number of different questions from pop history. And again, I wasn't really listening properly to it, but suddenly my attention gets drawn to one of the questions, and they are alluding to one of the James Bond film. And it's the man with the golden gun. And straight away, I thought the man with the golden gun. And I knew he was talking about the man who shot him, basically. And the golden gun that did the deed. So he said, I felt John's energy saying, go back and look at the lyrics. I'll tell you what the lyrics are in the moment, because that's the bit that's just completely and utterly blown me away. But I'll just carry on with the other 2 signs that he gave me. The next sign that came on, it didn't come on. I was just driving home and I live by the sea. The sea changes colour every day. The sea does different things every day. Sometimes it's choppy, sometimes it's whatever it's doing. And I looked out of my window and I thought, oh my God, I've never seen the sea that calm. The sea looked platinum. The sky was a funny colour. It looked like it was about to rain, but equally the sun was trying to come out. There were clouds in the sky, but equally the light was so brilliant. There was one yacht on the horizon, completely illuminated by this silver platinum light. The sea was so tranquil, nothing was moving on it, nothing. It was as though the sea and the sky had become one. It was so beautiful. And in that moment, I knew he was giving me a message about peace and needing to hold peace even in times of gathering storm. Okay? I knew it was his energy. It was, it went straight into my heart like liquid silver, you know, it's like nectar. It was healing in that instance. And then the fourth sign that came on was they then played the man with the golden gun. And I listened to the lyrics, and then I read the lyrics when I got home. So we know that John Lennon was killed on the, let me just get my notes. He was killed on the 8th of December 1980 by Mark David Chapman. I think it was David Chapman, Mark Chapman anyway. The numerology of that, just very quickly, adds up to a 2911 energy. 29 is the energy of the Olympic spiritual athlete. It's the person that's come in to do to go for gold in this lifetime, which was John. It says to me that he completed what he was meant to complete in this lifetime. That he achieved his goals. He raised the awareness he was meant to raise. 2 and 9 add to 11. 11 is the wake-up call energy. 11 is the gateway. 11 is duality. 11 is illumination. 11 is Archangel Metatron. But it's the gateway. It's the gateway to, he's saying to me, to an enigma that is starting to become clearer to all. These are the words to the man with the golden gun. So we know that this man, Mark Chapman, is in prison, has been for many times. I think has had parole denied to him at least 10 times. But I had a feeling, John was saying to me, he wasn't the one that did it. What I mean by that is that even if he was the one that pressed the trigger, there was something behind it. There was a body of people, an energy, a programming that made him do it. The orders came from somewhere else. These are the words to the man with the golden gun. He has a powerful weapon. He charges 1,000,000 a shot. An assassin that's second to none. The man with the golden gun. Lurking, oh my God, lurking in some darkened doorway or crouched on a rooftop somewhere. In the next room or this very one, the man with the golden gun. Love is required whenever he's hired. It comes just before the kill. No one can catch him, no hitman can match him for his $1,000,000 skill. One golden shot means another poor victim has come to a glittering end. For a price he'll erase anyone, the man with the golden gun. His eye may be on you or me, who will he bang, we shall see, oh yeah. It was written by John Barry, and it says here it was sung by Lulu. Lulu, oh, okay, John. Lulu is a fellow Liverpudlian, I think, isn't she? Did she come from Liverpool? She certainly, I feel like a Liverpool vibe with Lulu. Maybe I'm wrong there. Maybe she was just part of the crowd. She was certainly part of the crowd, John Lennon's crowd in the 60s. Lulu, Cilla Black, many others, of course, and of course all the other members of the Beatles. So that song, it's almost like that song says it all. The other thing, if you look at the lyrics of that, what comes out of it is no one can catch him, no hitman can match him for his $1,000,000 skill. Here is not somebody who just stands waiting to be caught, which is basically, Mark Chapman was basically there with the gun and was caught red-handed. What John is alluding to with this song is that do you know what I'm feeling? I'm actually feeling the answers in this song, that there was somebody else crouched on a rooftop who actually was the one that hired, that was the assassin, and the whatever Mark Chapman did, and I believe he did also fire a gun, but it was almost like that was a decoy. Maybe his gun had blanks or something. I don't know whether that's correct, but I'm feeling that there was another person crouched on a rooftop somewhere. That's what John's telling us with that song. He is also alluding to the fact that the organisation behind it, of course, is linked into powerful political circles within the United States of that time and probably to this day. When I was tuning in a few days ago to John, and I knew the question of his murder was going to come up, he linked it very much with the assassination of JFK as well. Okay, so you can put two and two together yourself. There is plenty online about the killing of JFK. There's plenty online about the killing of John Lennon. He is saying that it's the same body behind the two deaths. Okay. And it's as though there is a fall guy who is the one that we see plastered all over the papers, but the fall guy is just the fall guy. Okay, behind that there is a plot. There is, and as I say, there is a plot. That's all I really want to say. So that's just like such a wow, John. I mean, that's powerful stuff. I can't help but think that I'm recording this video 2 days, is it 2 days? It's 48 hours after Jeffrey Epstein supposedly committed suicide in a jail. And I don't want this to become about Jeffrey Epstein, I want this to be about John, but what John is saying to me and what Metatron had said to me about a month or so ago, and I think I said this online, or I've certainly put it in print, is that the dark would start to turn upon themselves. Okay, so it's as though the body, the people, the energy that represents darkness in our world that tries to extinguish light, and they tried to extinguish light in the case of John Lennon, they tried to extinguish light in the case of JFK, it's happened to other people as well, Princess Diana, another member of the Heart Squad. In fact, quite a few members of the Heart Squad have all been taken out. What's important to understand is that the darkness, which has almost like had the balance of power, certainly politically, I was shown by Metatron that they would start to consume themselves. They would start to turn on themselves. And so in many ways, the murder, because it was murder of Epstein, he didn't commit suicide, I don't believe, is a case of the darkness turning on itself to save its own skin. So in many ways, this is an advancement for the light, because when the darkness starts to turn on themselves, they're actually doing the job for us in terms of us trying to help diminish their power. So, as I say, don't want this whole video to be about Jeffrey Epstein, but John's just bringing it in because it's almost as though he's saying history has been about darkness trying to take out the light. That still is happening, but equally darkness is now taking out darkness. So it's almost like he's rubbing his hands and saying about time. Okay, so wow. I will just say as well, before I move off the whole thing about death and how he died, I will just give you a piece of information that came through again another couple of days ago. This is up on my Facebook page. My Facebook page is called Angelic Celestial Colours. It's not called Amanda Ellis, that's my family page. Okay, I don't accept friend requests on there. Angelic Celestial Colours is my Facebook page. I put a little mini video up. It probably was on Friday, maybe. What is today? Today's the 13th, so I don't know. It was about the 8th, 9th. Oh, maybe it was the 8th. Can't remember. Anyway, you can look back. And I pulled a couple of cards from the Enchanted tarot deck, and I felt that John was saying to me, pull a card linked into my energy. So I pulled a card linked into John's energy, and this was the one that came out, okay? And I talked a little bit about it, but I'll just talk about it again because some of you might not have seen what I'm referring to. This is the Ten of Swords, okay? It's the Ten of Swords, and what it clearly shows is a victim lying on the ground. There is a black energy underneath the dying, wounded figure on the ground. That represents darkness, basically, that has wounded this individual. And what is interesting is that on this card, there is a female figure crouching over the victim. The victim is portrayed here as a younger boy. But this is basically John and his mother, okay? So his mother in spirit, his mother died when he was, I don't know, was it late teens, I think? But I also know that his mother had given him up for adoption or given him to another family member, I can't remember, when he was about 5 or 6. So John's reported of having said in his lifetime that he feels as though he lost his mother twice. So this card to me shows that in his moment of death, when he did transition to spirit, and he transitioned to spirit literally like the lightning streak, okay, that went back to source. He was like a streak of lightning that came down, and then he was a streak of lightning that went back up. His mother was the one who was comforting him in his hour of need, and his mother was the one who helped walk him across the rainbow bridge. So whatever their relationship had been in life, whatever their challenges had been, whatever their difficulties had been, she was absolutely there when he needed her. He was there. She was obviously there when he was born, and she was there as he died, and she is still with him in spirit. I feel that very, very strongly. I feel as though they've mended a lot of bridges, and she was there. So I thought that was rather beautiful. In a moment of such horror and pain and bewilderment, his soul was not in anguish. His soul was actually comforted by this matriarch who he loved, and it's as though the contract that these two had to come and lead their own individual lives was complete, and then they were taken back to spirit. The other card that came out with this one on Friday, I'll just find it, I left it on my desk, was the card of strength, and it shows the lion. And John said to me on, I think it was the 8th, that he wanted me to make this video when the Lionsgate energy was still around. Well, today is the last day of the Lionsgate, although time is not linear, guys, but you know, it's said to be from the 26th of July to the 12th of August. 12th of August is today. Very interesting as well that I am doing this on the 12th. Number 12, linked into colour numerology, is about what separates heaven and earth, what prevents us from living heaven on earth. It's also linked into the energy of the victim. Okay, and John is saying, I was no victim. I'm hearing that very, very strongly. I was no victim. This was part of my soul mission, as it has, my death was as much a part of my soul mission, he's saying, as my music and everything else that I did. And what he means by that, and what I'm understanding from so many of the Heart Squad, is that his death, when the truths is uncovered, because it will be uncovered one day, and it's as though there are going to be, what he's showing me almost like an attorney's office or a police station, and it's like all these cases, and at the moment they've all been rubber stamped in terms of they're closed cases, because you know we've got our guilty party, they're rubber stamped, they're filed away. It's like he's saying spirit is rummaging round the old files, putting them back onto the table and reopening the cases. And he's saying it will happen like a domino effect. So there will be a number of people. His case file is one of the ones. I also feel JFK is another. I feel that other couple of members of the Heart Squad also, although I don't want to get into that too much on here because I've said it on their own individual videos. But it's not just people that, you know, I've been channeling recently. There are many, many names. Princess Diana, he's saying, absolutely as well. So he's saying, just keep the faith. He's saying there will be a chain reaction, but he's saying that chain reaction will come when enough light is held within the I can't say it, John. Jurisdiction department, that's not quite the way to say it, but the justice system, basically. He's saying the justice system, as we know probably, has many bad apples in it, and he's saying they are being, they will be removed from the tree one by one. But he's showing me, you know, have you ever tried to pick an apple from a tree, and you know when you try and pick an apple and it's not quite ripe, and it's like it's really resistant, you have to really give it a good tough pull. Well, he's saying some of the bad apples on the tree are very resistant and are not coming easily. He's saying some of the others will drop of their own accord, almost as though I'm being shown like the Japanese, I can't remember what it's called, the Japanese thing where you fall on your sword, almost like honour, but although these people don't have any honour, but in their way, they're almost like sacrificing themselves for a greater purpose. It's all a bit twisted. But yes, he's showing me the apples that will fall from the tree. He's saying there is due to be a good crop falling soon. Some of these apples are also going to be falling from natural causes, okay? So people's lives just naturally coming to an end. He's saying darkness, the end of darkness upon our planet, even though it's still, you know, it's not about to happen tomorrow, but its influence is waning. He's saying there are many different ways in which spirit can help to bring about the balance and light to be restored again. And he's saying that for some that are operating, I'm talking here about the real bad guys in our society, he's saying illness is also going to take some people out as well as other circumstances. So, and also what he just said at the start, which is that they start to take each other out, basically. So we've got the Lionsgate energy. He was absolutely a lion. And can we move on from that now, John? Is there anything else you want to say? Just feel like I want to put some of this energy around me, which is it's actually it's an Aura-Soma energy. It's the Holy Grail quintessence. I'm just going to breathe this in. Just helps to purify my energy as well. Sustain me. Okay, the Holy Grail. Right. Breathe. Let's go back. Let's go back a few steps. Let's go back a few steps and talk about who he was and his birth and what his whole energy was all about, and then what he wants to say about that. This is the image that I've got on my desk. I love this image of him. I don't know how old he would have been at that time. I've also got an image of him and Yoko. All the images I've chosen of him, interestingly, are black and white. I think he was very like that. It was like no grey area with John. It was like, you know, it was of the truth or it wasn't. It was right or it wasn't. And I've also got this quote here, which I put this up on my Facebook page, but it's worth another read. See, look at his eyes. Look at that. Powerful warrior of light. Our society is run by insane people for insane objectives. I think we're being run by maniacs for maniacal ends. And I think I'm liable to be put away as insane for expressing that. That's what's insane about it. You can't ever kill somebody's spirit as big as John's was. If I was going to play you a piece of music now, the piece of music that I've been very drawn to for him, one of his songs has been Watching the Wheels. Is that what it's called? I'm just sitting here watching the wheels go round and round. I love to watch them flow. That one, okay? I'm not going to play it because I'll probably get a copyright strike on my channel. But I don't know, there's something in that. And the video for that song is beautiful because he's right at the end, towards the end of his life actually. He's with his son Sean, he's with Yoko. It's almost like it's family footage, it's old video footage of him at home with her. And it's very beautiful. So that would be the song I would, if you want to pause and get a hit of John Lennon's energy linked into this video, that would be the song. Come back though. Okay, who is he? He was born the 9th of October 1940. Excuse me. His numerology is a 9, a 24 and a 6. I must just show you my mug before I do my numerology, because it's so John. Can you see what that says? Sorry, he didn't actually like makeup, I don't believe. I get the feeling he wasn't into makeup. It says voice, activism and faith. Voice, activism and faith. Can you see my mug? That's what he was all about. Right, 9, 24 and 6. Number 9, we've had this vibration before. By the way, I use colour mirrors. I'm a colour mirrors teacher. This is what I'm referring to here. Number 9 is linked into this colour energy. It is linked into the planet Mars. I think quite a few members of the Heart Squad have had a number 9 energy. From memory, I think Elvis could have been one as well. Yes, he was. Elvis had a 9 energy as well. So what this teaches, 9 and red, is about needing to find a way to channel your anger, needing to find a way to channel your frustration, needing to find a way to channel the injustices that you see and make something constructive and good from them. I think if you take that as a meaning of 9 and red, you can see that John did it perfectly in his lifetime. He was somebody who stood up for the oppressed. He was a political activist, whether you agreed with his politics or not. He passionately believed in what he believed. And instead of going out on the rampage in terms of war and that whole old patriarchal energy, he took himself off to bed, you know, bed peace. Remember bed peace? I mean, I don't remember it at the time. I was too young, but, you know, I've seen the pictures of it. He was an active opponent of the Vietnam War, so much so that his visa was denied many times in terms of being a citizen, American citizen. I think he got there in the end, didn't he? But, you know, he was somebody who felt the sense of injustice, but then channeled it into peaceful arenas. And of course, his iconic song, Imagine, will live for all time as just an absolute anthem of peace. I want to ask him about the peace symbol, actually. I'll do that in a moment. Let's just finish off the numerology. So yeah, number 9, Mars, fiery, passionate, a leader as well, you know, dynamic, all of that with the red energy and the number 9. 24 is the vibration of love, money and creativity. It's these colours. It's a beautiful green and a magenta. What the colours and what the vibration of 24 say is that you have a lifetime whereby you can have all three. You can have love, you can have money, you can have creativity. Love, in terms of, it was what he was all about. He was all about love. He was all about spreading love. He was also very committed to his, the people that he loved very deeply and very passionately. So we can see that love was there in his life. Money, yes, obviously being a Beatle, he had a bit of money behind him. But again, he had money, but he wasn't really about money. You know, that's what it feels like to me. It wasn't something that he overly valued. Creativity, he was somebody who had to be satisfied in terms of his creative pursuits. His creative pursuits were music and lyrics, and movement and art, and, you know, being an artist, a poet. And it's interesting, I did watch a video a few days ago just to try and get me into the whole energy of John, and the interviewer asked him, why did the Beatles end, or, you know, why did you call it quits? And he said something along the lines of, it had just become boring. You know, it had just become stale. It had become like a stale marriage or a stale relationship where I wasn't learning anything. I wasn't experiencing anything new. You used to have to go into the studio to make another album and it'd be the same 3 other faces staring back at you. He didn't say the same chords, but that was the sort of energy I was getting from him. It had become boring. And to him, that would be death. That really would have been death. He needed constant stimulation, constant change. He was a change agent. And that's all there in that 24 vibration, that last bit about creativity, a creative spirit who had to keep expressing. And I do think that's a big part of his attraction to Yoko Ono as well, which is that she was this creative spirit. And whatever you think of Yoko, she's now 86, believe it or not. She's still creating. She's still doing her art. She's still an activist. So, you know, these two were very powerfully linked by that strand of energy which ran very deep with him as well. And then number six is linked to the planet Venus. So he's got 2 planets linked into his birth. He's got, and I'm not talking astrologically, I'm talking numerology. He's got Mars and he's got Venus. What's that book? Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. You know, it's just like somehow he was able to, he's got a naughty sense of humour, because I wanted to say straddle both. I'm not going to go down that route, John. I am not going there. So, but yeah, okay, he was just, he loved both men and women, I want to say. And he, but he also embodied the energies of both the masculine and the feminine very beautifully in an era where many people weren't able to do that or show that. And he did. And he did that also coming from an upbringing which was very, very male, very patriarchal, but yet he wasn't like that. His spirit, his energy is coming through as very gentle, very, very gentle. I'd like to ask you, Paul. Oh, wow. Okay, I just said Paul. Okay, I'm going to bring Paul in. I have actually got Paul's energy here in front of me. I wanted to ask about the peace sign. That's interesting, isn't it? I was going to say I want to talk to you about peace and the peace sign, and then I've just said I want to ask you Paul. So let's ask John about him and Paul, and probably the peace that needs to be between the 2 of these. Was there ever peace between the 2 of you? Not really, he says, no. But he says we were brothers. We were brothers. We were brothers in arms, and we will always be brothers in arms. And he says we were brothers in arms in past lives as well. So I don't know which one of them is older. Which one of them is older? Whether John is older or Paul is older, I'm not sure. Paul energetically, that's really interesting actually, because one of them must be older than the other, obviously, but their energy is almost coming through here, almost like twins, which I know they weren't twins, but it's almost as though, you know, if you're a twin, there might be a couple of minutes before your twin arrives, you know, so one of you technically is older, but really you're sort of the same age. And that's sort of what I'm feeling with these 2, because one of them was older, obviously, one of them was younger, but yet really they're like that. They're really energetically tied to each other. I actually feel with Paul, who, yes, I will just say, yes, I believe Paul McCartney is still the original Paul McCartney. I do not believe in that whole myth that, you know, Paul died in 1960 whatever and was replaced. So apologies. If you believe that, that's fine. You don't have to turn off the video, but I'm just saying I don't personally believe that, and that's not what I'm getting from John. Because what I'm getting from John is the Paul that's still here, which is the original Paul. After John died, it's almost as though to survive it, he emotionally has distanced himself from John. It's almost as though he doesn't really allow himself to go back into John's energy too much. I'm sure he talks about him, but, you know, and he may obviously still play in terms of perform some of the songs. But it's almost as though at some level he's had to put up an emotional barrier between the 2 of them. I mean, this is the image that I'm looking at between the 2. And it literally is, after John's death, it's like there is this energetic barrier now between the 2. Now, when Paul eventually transitions, hopefully not for a while yet, but, you know, they will be back together as they were. But it's very painful for Paul to get too close to how he truly feels in his heart about John, because in his heart, they are brothers in arms. And he knows that at a rational level. I'm not saying he's cold and he doesn't feel, but it's almost like a self-protective type mechanism. That's what I'm feeling, that kicked in. And it's almost as though John's saying some of what you see as coolness and coldness is actually his way of surviving. He says we all have different survival mechanisms within us to help us. Yeah, that's one of my favourite songs, Whatever Gets You Through the Night. That's like a nod to Metatron as well, because I often get given that song by Metatron. Whatever gets you through the night is all right. It's all right. That's one of Paul's coping mechanisms to compartmentalize in some way. So he doesn't go to. There's almost like a respectful there's almost like a curtain that's come down between the two of them, but it's transient and it's not permanent. And John will be the first one there to greet Paul, as well as Linda. I mean, Linda McCartney is already coming in as a new member of the Heart Squad. I must just say that. She's coming in very forcefully. And is she there? She's already there. Okay, she's there now. She said, Paul's saying, oh yeah, sorry, Paul, they're so close. John is saying, he and Linda have had many chats, okay? He's saying it's like we've, it's that expression, we've chewed the fat. What he means by that is like we've put the world to rights. And it's linked into the fact that Yoko, who is still here on Earth, obviously received enormous flack for splitting up the Beatles, all of this type of stuff. Has never been particularly understood, in many quarters isn't particularly liked. That's not me saying that, it's just what other people say. And the same thing, Linda got a lot of flack as well for sort of almost like taking Paul away from people. So there's been almost like healing between the two of them. John and Linda have been able to help heal some aspect that they both experienced from different perspectives. So Linda was the one who was hounded and derided for what she was perceived to have done, you know, in terms of taking Paul away. All nonsense, of course. And in the same way, John had that experience of trying to look after and protect Yoko, where people were almost aiming the same energy at her. So they've chatted about that in the afterlife. That's not why Linda wants to come through though, and we'll do her on a different video. She wants to come through, and she's still very passionate, as she was in life, about vegetarianism, veganism. She's wanting to speak on that again. So we'll do that another time. But I'm just nodding that she's energetically there. So back to John and Paul. What would you like to say? Is there anything you would like to say to Paul, John, or anything you can share that you want to share? There's this feeling of pride, that he's still rocking it. Those are the words I'm hearing, that Paul's still rocking it, that he's enduring. I might have to ask a question about that, because I'm not entirely sure where I want to go with that whole line of inquiry. I do have to say that it's almost as though, even though they've got this very special bond, him and Paul, there are other big figures that are around John, not all of them in spirit. So you might see I've got my t-shirt on here, which is a bit of a nod to Mick Jagger, actually. And there seems to be Mick Jagger's energy is very linked into John as well. It's like he's wanting to say hi to Mick. Again, it's like, wow, he looks good. He's still rocking it. He is still rocking it. It's almost like it's my generation. Oh, we've got the Who coming through now as well. What was that guy called? Townsend. There's a nod to Pete Townsend. That's right, Pete Townsend. The Rolling Stones. It's like that was my generation. So it's like it's almost like when John comes back closer to the earth plane, he's checking in on who's still around, who's still rocking it, basically. So there's a nod to Mick Jagger, there's a nod to Pete Townsend, and then of course there's David Bowie, who's also in spirit, and there's Paul, okay, and there's George, okay, George Harrison. Ringo, is Ringo alive or dead? Not sure. Ringo's gone, I think, hasn't he? Not sure about that. Not sure. I don't want it to make it about all of the other Beatle members anyway, but George Harrison, certainly, I'm feeling his energy. I'm not feeling Ringo so strongly. Let's go to a question. I've got questions in, you see, from some of you on Facebook. So, Sue, you were mentioning that yesterday on 8/8 was the 50th anniversary of Abbey Road album photo taken. Okay, wow. 50 years ago. All those years ago. That's what John's doing. Wow, yeah, okay. Is there a way that we can channel or call upon his energy? What's a good sign to look for? That's a good question, Rachel. Is there a way we can channel or call upon your energy, John? Because it is very sort of, when I say floaty, I don't mean that in a negative way. It's quite hard to pull in. It's almost as though he doesn't want to be pulled in too much, as I say, to the personal dramas that we have going on in our life. It's like he's saying, he feels like he operates more at a macro level. That's what I'm wanting to say. That doesn't mean that he doesn't love us, he doesn't care, but he's operating more at the macro level. How do we connect to you then, John? Can we connect to you? You can connect. Okay. Oh, okay. Thank you. He's saying you can connect to me via communities. It's almost as though you connect more to John's energy via community vibration than just the individual. Okay. He was all about community. He was all about getting people together. You know, even when he did Bed Peace, you know, he sat there in bed with Yoko and there's like a room full of people and people are coming into the room and people are leaving the room. He liked that whole thing about community. So he's asking that one way for his energy to come in at a more macro level is via communities, by us linking energetically to each other, whether that be online in this type of medium, YouTube, whether that be actually in physical communities where we're living together, whether that may be in wider family groups, whether that be in political causes, political parties, whether that be in charitable organisations, Friends of the Earth, I don't know why I'm hearing Friends of the Earth, is that sort of charitable type organisations. He's saying people who work, he's very strongly linked to people who work in charitable organisations and still, you know, political activism. He would be there like a shot. But it's almost as though he doesn't link strongly just to one individual. It's more about working for the team. He's a team player. He's saying, yeah, I know some people find that hard to believe, because he's saying, I know I wasn't always a team player when I was in the Beatles, as an example. There was a lot of fighting between us. But he said, really, what part of my life, lesson isn't quite the right word, part of my life's learning was about how to be in a team. He said, I don't know if I always was able to do that well. But he says that is something that I tried to do. Okay. So good sign to look for. Well, it's just started to rain outside my window as soon as I asked for a sign, which leads me very much to the thing that water is something that carries messages. Water carries memory. The work of Dr. Masaru Emoto. You know, if you want to link into Lennon's energy of peace as an example, you can put the energy of peace into water. You know, you can literally put the word peace underneath a jug of water and it will integrate that vibration, and then you drink it. He works with musicians. He's saying anybody who's working with music, anybody who's working with poetry, anybody who's working with art. It's not that he's saying I won't come and help individuals. It's more that he feels as though he has quite specialized skills. And so if you're wanting somebody to sit on a sofa with you whilst you're having a cup of tea, and you know, it's like it's not that he can't do it, it's just he's maybe not. He's saying, you know, I wasn't always the best at doing that in life, so why would you call on me in spirit? He's saying there are others that are better at sort of, I don't know, geeing up the troops. You know, he said my role was different. My role was different. Okay, let's go to another question. So I'm not sure about signs. As I say, the signs that I got this morning were different from signs that I've had from other members of the Heart Squad, as an example. I mean, the sea, I gave you the example of the sea. I gave you the example of, obviously, the man with the golden gun, the music. That he's different, he's quirky, he's not going to give you signs that are necessarily very obvious, I don't think, personally. I mean, with Michael Jackson, when we did the Michael Jackson work, it was ridiculous. Everyone was seeing black gloves everywhere. You know, I mean, love it, Michael, don't stop. We like the gloves. But, you know, it's like with John, I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure. I'm almost looking up to the sky and expecting to see a rainbow. It's a funny old day. I'm wondering whether the rainbow is a sign with John. I think it probably is, actually. We'll see whether we get a rainbow before this session ends. So there's a lady here, dear Amanda, if possible, I would really like to hear his opinion about the way Yoko Ono was demonized, whether one likes her or agrees with her or not, about the fact that she would be an outspoken woman instead of just passively and silently being under his shadow. Thank you. Much love. Chloe. Really good question. Well, I think I've sort of addressed that a little bit, but let's just go back and ask him about Yoko. He said to me repeatedly over the last few days that she's got a really long innings, okay? And what he means by that is she's 86. I wouldn't be surprised if she makes 96. You know, I feel as though she's got longevity in her blood. And I'm feeling great pride from him that she is carrying on his legacy in terms of activism, in terms of art, he's saying in terms of art having meaning, in terms of art making you think, in terms of art making you have to scratch your head and think about things. There is a pride in terms of that she's still doing that. Mesmerized by her intellect. Mentally, they were completely and utterly, telepathically linked, mentally linked, heart to heart linked, soul to soul linked. She was absolutely meant to come into his life. He was meant to come into her life. It's almost as though even though his life was thwarted at age 40, she's carried on. She has carried on his legacy, for right, for wrong, whether you like the way she's done it, whether you don't like the way she's done it. As this person, the questioner has just said, she will not go into the shadows. And the other thing he was saying to me about her and him was that they were such a compact unit. It's almost as though they didn't really need anybody else. And I think this is part of the issues that he had sometimes in terms of shutting other people out, including Julian, as an example, Julian, his other son. It's almost as though the unit of Yoko and John was like this cocoon from the world. It was like, he's showing me like it's like a chrysalis, like the butterfly inside the cocoon. It's like all the workings, the magic, the alchemy, the intensity. It's almost as though there was no space for anything else. They did, of course, have another son together, and he's showing me that towards the end of his life, and I think why he's giving me that song, the Wheels song, watching the wheels go by, and the family footage, is he's saying at some level his soul knew that time was running out, and he'd spent so much of his life which was about the collective, that he wanted to cram as much as possible in to that last fragment of his life, and it became quite selfish in some way, he's saying, and it was just about the three of us. And for right, for wrong. There is also a very the son, Sean, is like he really does hold the energy of both Lennon and Yoko. I've no idea whether he's had children yet, Sean, but Sean feels as though he is very special in some way. I don't know anything about Sean Lennon, so I'm not going to go into his energy because it feels like it's private. But he's just the tree that was John and Yoko. The fruit that bared from that, which was Sean, is precious. I'm going to ask about Julian, and I feel as though John's almost like wanting to look away a little bit, and he's not looking away because he doesn't want to answer the question. He's looking away, and I'm really feeling some shame from him. I'm actually feeling some tears behind my eyes. It's almost as though well, I think he said it all in the sign that he gave me, traffic jam in Julian Road. He knows that there is some unresolved karmic stuff there, and he literally, it's like that, but it's almost like I can't quite, it's almost like he still can't quite look at it in terms of maybe how he treated him. Certainly there is no feeling of that I'm proud that I behaved the way I did towards Julian. Anything else you want to say about it? Pull a card, he's saying. Pull a card for Julian. Okay, let's pull a card for Julian. Which deck should we use, John? I've got 2 decks sitting on my desk. Let's just have a look. I need some water as well. Hold on. Okay, I'm going to still stick with the Enchanted Tarot deck for whatever reason. The Enchanted Tarot. I wonder whether John was enchanted by tarot, psychics, metaphysics, all of that. I mean, I think he was. He, I mean, we know he went off to India, don't we? And meditation and gurus and very, very esoteric man. So yeah, he was. So, okay, here we go. He was enchanted by that. Let's put a card for Julian. John, let's have a card for Julian. Julian Lennon. So, John, please let's have 1 card for Julian. 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 The Tower. The Tower. Whoa, wow, okay. The Tower for Julian. Unresolved things from the past. It's as though when, you know, first marriage ended and he moved on, Yoko arrives. He left behind this tower that had just fallen away. Destruction of the old. And it's as though he's saying, I left a mess. Let's pull one more. He's saying, I left a mess. Justice. Wow. Wow, guys. They're big. They are pretty heavy cards, aren't they? So this is Julian Lennon, the Tower, and Justice. This might be a nod to the will. The fact that I don't believe he was left anything. Okay. John's saying he's not proud of any of this, but it's almost as though there's a nod here. Justice is card number 11. 11 is the gateway. I'm feeling this is Julian's energy. It's almost as though what has happened has made him the man that he is. He's had to fight for justice. He's had to fight for his rights, basically. What else do you want to say about Julian? Julian. I couldn't deal with it. I couldn't deal with it. I couldn't deal with the fallout of this. I was human. I was frail. In terms of being a frail human, he means. From spirit, I can see now what I caused. Unfinished karma between the two of them. It's like he's become quite subdued as soon as we bring up the whole energy of Julian. Let's just have one more card then, John. One more card with Julian. Going forward. The Ten of Hearts. Oh, that's nice. The Ten of Hearts. On the bottom of the deck is the Two of Swords, which was the ending. Okay, it's almost as though it ended badly. It ended badly, but we've got the Ten of Hearts, which is, it's typically Ten of Hearts, Ten of Cups is the happy family card. And what's really lovely is the butterfly. I talked about John and Yoko being the butterfly, and it's like they were like the chrysalis. In fact, they weren't the butterfly, they were the chrysalis, they were inside it. It's like the butterfly now is in full bloom and it's over the whole family. So I do feel this is almost like John in spirit as the blue butterfly. I think blue butterflies might be a sign that John's around. Keep a lookout for those. Blue butterfly. Or maybe that's just something linked to Julian, but the blue butterfly is now looking after and wanting to watch over the whole family, and the whole family includes Julian. Okay. Yeah. Also his first wife as well, Cynthia. Let's pull one card for Cynthia. Is she still alive? I'm not sure. Let's just have a little look. He said to me today that I reminded him of Cynthia. We were just trying to get some sort of, what's the word? Common ground going. He says Cynthia was quite posh. I'm not posh, but it's just the whole English thing about the way we speak, you know. Oh, she's died. She has died. She died on the 1st of April. Okay. She's in spirit. Cynthia. Is Cynthia around you in spirit? Yeah, we're cool, he's saying. We're cool. We're cool. It doesn't feel like there's any animosity. Whatever's happened between the two of them feels as though it's very healed. The Empress. Oh, wow. The Empress. And oh, wow. The Empress and the Ace of Hearts. How beautiful is that? I was just pulling a card for her, Cynthia. She's my Empress. Ace of Hearts. My cup overfloweth. I love her. Love, 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 love. The thing is, that doesn't mean he doesn't love Yoko. You know, there's this whole thing we do on Earth, which is you can only love one person, you know? Sometimes it's not as simple as that. She is the Empress. She's the mother of my son, Julian. And she is, it's like she's got her rightful place. There's no animosity between Cynthia and John. Couldn't be any clearer. She still holds my heart in spirit. Okay. Right, I'm aware this video is probably getting long, and I'm also aware that I'm going to do more than one video for John. So let's just see if there's anything else that I wanted to bring through in this particular video. Let's have one more question, and then I think I better call this one a day. Cara, you say, gosh, I remember when he was shot, how it felt and where I was. Must have been awful. I don't remember it, I have to say. 1980. I what was I? 13. I don't know why I don't remember it, but I don't remember it. I became into his music after he died. John, thank you for leaving a remnant of your energy and being with me throughout my childhood and early adulthood. You are one of my precious angels. Marguerite, that's nice to know. He says, I'll always be there for anybody that needs me. Just looking for one question. He and the rest of the Beatles' songs and messages were truly divine. Were they channeled, and why? Amy, were the songs channeled and why? Why were they channeled? Were they channeled? Everything's channeled. Yes, absolutely. Everything's channeled that we do. We're all instruments of God, he says. We're all instruments of God. Absolutely, the music was channeled. We didn't know that at the time. Of course we didn't know that at the time. But seeing from where I see now, I can see that they were channeled. And why were they channeled? Why were they done? Blah, blah, blah. To lift, to bring a feeling of upliftment, joy, happiness. I mean, there are Beatles songs that are melancholy, but a lot of them have just got they got a vibration of happiness and joy. They're about lifting the spirits. They were to do with lifting the spirits, but they were also to do with just documenting our lives, documenting what was happening. They were like a journal. It was like our way of journaling our lives. And we're glad that other people liked them. There's still that real humbleness with him. It's almost like, I'm glad other people liked them. Okay. I can't resist another couple of questions. Does the lion energy suggest that he is a Syrian? I would love to know if he is a Syrian, and if so, share some insights on Sirius and the portal now open. I believe Syrians are the caretakers, and this in alignment with how he lived his life. I wonder on his advice for us all now as caretakers of this beautiful planet amidst these crazy times. Great question, Belinda. Thank you very much. Yeah, I feel a Syrian energy with him, I have to say. And it's linked into the fact that Sirius is the brightest star in the sky. He was one of the brightest stars of his generation. He's still one of the brightest stars up there. It's like there's a very special place reserved for him up there. And Syrian energy, yes, I do feel that. I mean, he was so insistent that I had to make this video when the Lionsgate energy was still here. And that is all about the Sirius star being closely aligned to Earth at this moment. So 100%, yes, I think he's got a Sirius energy to him. Sirius, a star system, star rather. And I feel as though he originates from there. But as they all say to us, don't get too bogged down in people's souls are just from one part of the galaxy. He was a multi-dimensional soul, as we all were. Don't feel he's come back, no, yet. Past lives. I'm not sure. I'm wanting to say a political figure, if anybody, from the past, but I'm not sure. He's not showing me that. I'm getting a little bit tired as well, so I'm not going to force something that isn't coming straight to me. Let's just ask him about his advice for the world now. We'll do past lives in another video. I will ask him when my energy is still a little bit more all there. But let's just ask him about guidance for these times that we're in. Okay, hold steady. Hold steady. Hold peace in your heart. Everything that I said when I was alive still stands, even more than it ever did then. To give peace a chance, to believe in peace, to be the peace in your family, to be the peace in your community, to be the peace in your world, to be the peace amidst the chaos, to be the peace amidst the darkness, to believe that peace is the strongest energy, that peace is the way forward, that peace is possible, that peace is not a dirty word, that peace is the highest vibration that man can strive for in this world. And it has eluded him for millennia, and yet it is within reach. It is the Holy Grail. It is the Holy Grail. It is the energy that you have all been striving for, life after life after life. And yet it is available to you in every single moment, to claim it, to be it, to hold it, to show it, to demonstrate it. And yes, even in the face of adversity. To guard it with your life, to believe in it above all else. Peace is precious. Peace is the answer. Peace always was the answer. Peace will win. Okay. It's funny, Bella barked at that moment. I did wonder about John and animals. Was he an animal lover? Because I'm feeling this connection with animals around him very strongly. Well, the lion, of course. Dogs as well. I think he liked animals. Oh, okay. Thank you, John. he's just going on now. He's saying animals know how to look after each other. Animals, he said, look at animals in a pack. Look at how animals protect the herd. Look at how animals are aware of every single member within the flock, within the herd. He's going on about communities again. He's saying, look at the animals. Look at how animals behave. Animals hold a very high state of grace. There is much that you can learn from the animal kingdom in terms of communities, in terms of how they they sort out the troublemakers as well, he's saying. You know, he's showing me like the lion, the top dog. And it's interesting. Let me just find this image of the lion. Where's the lion, John? Because, where is it? One thing John was saying to me about the Lionsgate and the lion energy is that lions, oh, that's it. Is it a lion? Yeah, it's a lion. Lions, we always think of them pouncing, you know, and attacking. Most lions, they never have to do that, you know, because people understand and respect the strength of the lion. You don't go and poke the lion. You don't need to. You don't. Well, you won't. It's not that you don't need to. You don't go and poke the lion. Okay. You don't provoke it because you know of its strength. He's saying, hold that strength within yourself. It's almost like be like that lion. Be like that lion that knows its strength, that knows its power, that doesn't need to lash out. And that if you hold that energy of strength and power and love and light, it is enough. It protects, it brings in good to our world. Sorry, I'm slightly distracted because I can hear my husband outside calling my dog. Okay, that's it for today then, guys. I think that's probably enough anyway. So let's just give thanks to John. Let's just see where he's off to now. Where are you off to now? Oh, he's saying he floats around the United Nations a lot. That's what I mean by him. He works on the macro level. It's not that he won't come and sit with you on your sofa. I want to go back and, you know, correct that a little bit, what I said at the start. It's not that he won't do that, but he's very involved at the macro. It's like he's off to the United Nations. God knows what's happening there. But yeah, he's there. He's saying we've got bodies on the ground there at the UN, whatever that means. He's saying they're in junior positions of power, though. He's saying, but we are encouraging them to grow, to evolve. He's, okay, well, that's for another time then, John. That's where he's off to, okay? That's what I mean about him. He's brilliant. He's just, yeah, really enjoyed being in your energy. So, okay, just going back to how we started, which was seeing him on the stage. We're all outside. Do you remember we were all outside? We're with the elements. I would like you just to imagine now there is the most beautiful rainbow appearing in the sky, okay? And this is John's sign, okay? It's definitely John's sign. I also want to say the butterfly. I definitely feel the blue butterfly is a sign for him as well. I don't know what variation of butterfly is blue, but I wanted to bring that energy in. And the lion as well, okay? And the peace sign. We'll talk about the peace sign next time, John, okay? So it's like we're all just giving him a round of applause. He's saying, you don't need to do that. He's saying, let me give you a round of applause. He's back to that energy of namaste. The divine in me sees the divine in you. Namaste, he says, till next time. Hold the peace. Oh, and he's like, he's getting us all to link hands. And as we link hands, we can do this energetically. The vibration of peace is going from my hands to you, to the next person, and so on. Peace is all around. Much love.